Hi, this is Mark Laughlin with the Ambidextrous Gunfighter. So, you did not buy that pandemic panic gun, but you're thinking you might need one. Or maybe you did buy one in a panic, and now you're kind of second guessing your decision. Well, that's what we're going to talk about on this video. It's just my opinion, so take it for what it's worth. But what I want to start off with is don't suffer from FOBU. FOBU. What's FOBU? Fear of being ungunned. Buying guns while in a panic or in fearful is like buying groceries when you're hungry or going out on a date when you're horny. It's just usually not a good idea. You're either going to end up with a lot of junk food, a wrong relationship, or the wrong pistol, or wrong handgun, or wrong rifle. Self-defense in normal times is pretty rare occurrence. Now, self-defense in abnormal times, when they're releasing prisoners to free up prevent the pandemic from spreading within prisons, or when the police are not going to pursue anything but the most violent crimes, well, might need need self-defense a little bit more then. Of course, if you have societal collapse, then you're definitely going to probably need some good self-defense tools. Or if there's Civil War II or the zombie apocalypse, if that was to occur as a result of this pandemic, then of course you're going to be in desperate need of self-defense tools for making headshots. Now, as it related to zombie apocalypse, I highly recommend World War Z by Max Brooks, the audio book. Get it on Amazon. It's just unbelievably good. Now, the things to consider when you're looking about getting a self-defense weapon, and I'm thinking primarily at this point of pistols, is should you be a concealed carry weapons holder? Should you carry a weapon? And I have a video just on that question. And then I want you to imagine you just killed your daughter by accident, negligent discharge. So I have a kind of a mental exercise, a video called You Just Killed Your Daughter. So I want you to check that out as well before you proceed with getting a handgun. And then that is kind of motivation to watch my next video after that called Gun Safety. So that's my self-defense handgun fighter video series, and highly recommend at least those first 3 videos, and then the fourth 2 called Do Not Be the Gun Store Noob. So it's basically how to go into a gun store and not be a total idiot and nearly expose your hindquarters, I guess you might say. And then I'd also suggest you check out Mike Glover's. He's got his channel features some stuff on how to manipulate, manual of arms for different firearms. So definitely check that out. Get Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. And that's basically to make sure you understand the very precise constraints and when it's proper to use deadly force against another human being. And then kind of related to that, as you kind of proceed through this, I want you to kind of start thinking about what's the applications in politics? When is it appropriate to use force against your fellow man? So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind as you become a weapons carrier. Now, of course, if you have children, that complicates things a little bit. You're going to have to make sure you're able to store the weapon safely, and also to kind of gun-proof your children. I mean, your children at a pretty young age can be taught how to make a weapon safe and how to safely handle a firearm. Now, of course, you don't want to just let them run around free with a loaded handgun, but they should know a little bit about firearms. And my advice to parents is, if the kids ever ask to see your weapons, always make a point to let them see them and check them out. So you can, anytime they want to, you're willing to show them and share what the technology is like. Now, making a gun safe, there's basically safety on, mag out, eject any rounds that are in there, lock the slide back, so bolt locked back, check the chamber. Make sure there's not around the chamber. Make sure there's nothing in the mag well, so you didn't actually insert another magazine in there. Then check the bolt face. Sometimes there could be a round hanging off that extractor on the bolt face. Now, another thing about storage, having safe storage versus carrying. One thing I think of is if you have a pistol, carry it all the time, and then you don't have to worry so much about safe storage. I mean, if it's your only firearm that you have, carry it with you all the time. You might as well have it with you in self-defense and reduce the risk at home of somebody getting a hold of it and making accidental or malicious use of your own weapon. Now, there's lots of things to learn and a lot of information to absorb. There's there's a lot of potential tracks of study. And you might want to get a deadly force. When is deadly force justified? How is it safe? How do you safely handle firearms? And then the manual of arms of all your different weapon systems. And then, of course, basic marksmanship. Now, what about for your very first firearm? What will you get for that? Now, my suggestion is that for the very first, is not really even a firearm, would be an airsoft pistol. And you can get the kind that I actually have one. It's a manual spring pistol where you cock it each time you want to fire it. Now, they do also make green gas airsoft pistols that actually function very much like a real firearm. So those are more expensive, and I've had those before, and they're great for backyard practice. They're around $200 versus say $20 or $30 for just that manual cocking spring version. Either one is going to get you some basic gun handling skills where you can kind of practice your safe technique. Now, the cool thing about an airsoft is you can practice shooting, and if you accidentally shoot yourself, now it will hurt. I mean, these things hurt, so you definitely don't want to accidentally shoot yourself. And they can, damage or even put out your eye. So you don't want to be sloppy, but it's a safer way of learning some of the basic, gun handling or pistol handling skills for being safe with a pistol. Now, for your first real firearm, I recommend a .22 rifle. Now, the reason, one is it's with the longer muzzle, a longer barrel, much longer barrel than a pistol, a small degree of angle of muzzle shift will be much more noticeable on a rifle. So you'll learn muzzle awareness much better with the rifle, where that small change is going to deflect the muzzle several inches versus maybe a quarter or half an inch on a pistol. And then after you've developed your skills with a .22 rifle, then I would suggest a .22 pistol. Now, for the .22 rifle, what are the accessories you need? I suggest a shooting mat, some elbow pads, extra magazines. You want probably at least 4 magazines, and lots of ammo, bulk ammo. And that's one of the advantages of the .22s. You can practice a lot. You can develop your skills with very low cost. In fact, you'll quickly pay for the cost of the .22 rifle and the .22 handgun just in the savings of ammo over, say, a 9mm or 5.56 rifle. Now, for training, there's some things you want to do. One is I suggest getting dummy rounds, and you can get dummy rounds for .22s. Normally I think of this for 9mm and 5.56, but some dummy rounds for your rifle to practice the manual of arms at home in the comfort of your living room. Now, and then for training, what we're going to do is the very first training would be to go to a Project Appleseed rifle marksmanship clinic with your .22 rifle. Now, that's to develop both the basic marksmanship skills, and then also they will reinforce these, the safety skills of being safe with the firearm. Now, once you've gone to a Project Appleseed rifle marksmanship clinic and earned your rifleman patch, that may take 2 or 3, attending 2 or 3 clinics before you get that. So if you don't just figure you're going to go, in one weekend get your patch and consider it done. You may better get it done. In fact, if you watch my Appleseed prep video series, I think that'll give you a leg up on actually getting that patch in the first or maybe second attempt at a Project Appleseed rifle marksmanship clinic. Now, these are not competitions; these are training, and you'll learn a natural point of aim, 6 steps to firing a shot, and all the steady hold factors for being accurate with a rifle. And a 22 is great for learning that. Now there's a lot of accessories you don't need. Optics. Definitely not going to need that for your pistols, in my opinion, and I would say even for starters, not even on your rifle. You could maybe run a very affordable and inexpensive scope on your 22 rifle for the Project Appleseed rifle marksmanship clinic, and make things a little bit easier for you. And then just say no to red dots for now. Lights, we don't need any tactical lights on your weapons. No, don't be upgrading the triggers and spending a lot of money on just a lot of needless junk. Just focus on developing the skills. You can learn with the basic rifle just fine. Now, of course, why 22s is low cost of ammo, so you get lots of skill development. 22s will pay for themselves over the long haul. There's no recoil to cause a little bit of a shock or worry about that kick, you know. And so you can develop the technique and appropriate skill before you move up to the center fire cartridges, which are a little bit louder and maybe a little bit of recoil. But do not underestimate the power of the 22. In fact, my own sister was murdered with a 22 rifle, so don't assume that it's something you can just be lax with. Now, once you've got your rifleman's package at your Project Appleseed Rifle Marksmanship Clinic, I suggest you also become ambidextrous. And so go over to www.ambgun.com, AmbGun.com, or check out the other videos on this channel and learn how to become ambidextrous. Now, we'll get into later why, and you can check out the series on AmbGun.com on why you should become ambidextrous, how to become ambidextrous, and then what equipment an ambidextrous gunfighter needs. And it's not hard to do. I learned it from paintball. On all of our paintball team, we learned it within about 2 weeks. So it's something you can learn pretty quickly, and it has huge benefits, which you'll learn about later. Now, as far as rifles, what do I suggest for your very first 22 rifle? Now, I have a Ruger 1022. I have the Collector's Edition series, or Collector's Edition series number 2, and it's been awesome for Project Appleseed Rifle Marksmanship Clinic. Not only did I get my first score with that rifle, but it has gotten the score for many students. It has gotten the score for many students since I am now an instructor. I've let other people borrow it. But I want you to think about long term is that most likely at some point we're going to see you set up with an AR-15. Now you may be thinking, oh man, an AR-15, that sounds scary, a weapon of war or whatever. Don't. Trust me, that's not, once you get there, it's not going to be that way at all. Now, for that reason, I suggest for your first 22 rifle, consider the Tippman M4/22, which is basically an AR pattern 22 long rifle, or 22 caliber rifle. So it has the same feel and everything as an AR-15. So all the controls will be the same and everything. And so I recommend that one if you can do it. It is a little more expensive than a Ruger 1022, but I think it's worth the extra bucks. Now, what you don't want to get is a Smith & Wesson M&P 22 rifle. It has had a lot of problems. In fact, it's currently not allowed at Project Appleseed Rifle Marksmanship Clinics. Hoping to see that ironed out soon, but it's been a couple years and still nothing. So we'll see. So anyway, avoid the whole accessorizing fetish. Just get focused on getting the pistols and rifles that you need. Now, why should an AR-15 be a factor into your long-range plans? One, it actually has very mild recoil. It's easy to handle. Children, women, anyone can handle this thing. It's very accurate. It has great ergonomics. It's lightweight, and they are available everywhere. Now, trust me, right now they may look scary to you, but don't let the ignorant fear-mongering sway you from my advice on this. You can think that you're going to be getting an AR-15 in the future. Therefore, let's consider that Tippman M4 22. Now, as far as the first 22 handgun, I suggest the KelTec P17, and that's because it has the paddle mag release. And now, why do I say you should be considering the paddle mag release? And that's in the paddle mag release in comparison or in contrast to the standard American button magazine release. One is that it's fully ambidextrous. Two is that it prevents accidental disengagement of the magazine. And that's very important for a pocket carry pistol. And then three, it allows pinch operation of the magazine release with thumb and forefinger, which means a firmer grip on the pistol while where the button magazine release, you have to shift your grip to make that change. Now it is also, the P17 is a very lightweight, and it is and it carries like 17 rounds, so it's actually pretty capable for a 22. It's not too bad. Now it's not the ideal self-defense pistol, but it's good enough for you to get started with. Now, do not overestimate your need for stopping power. It's a very low probability you're ever going to actually need your concealed carry weapon in your lifetime. And so, one, low risk of need, and if you do need it, it's a very low probability you're going to have to actually pull the trigger and shoot it. And then if you do discharge it, which is a pretty low, probability for you over your whole lifetime, the 22 can actually perform just fine. I mean, it's not, it's not ideal. 9mm is better, 45 is better, whatever, but 22 will get the job done. And then everybody gets into this whole thing about only hits count. Well, that's not true. Part of self-defense is just making the other guy quit, and sometimes just a loud bang of a firearm is all you need to make him quit. And so a 22 can do that just fine. And then if you do get hits on the target with a 22, and if you make good hits, it is certainly capable of stopping an attacker. It's not going to stop them as quick as a 9 or a 45, but it will put holes in people. So don't completely discount the 22, even as a self-defense gun. Now, I've considered it as a training tool at this point, and at some point we want to get you upgraded to a 9mm, but we want you to develop the skills first with the 22 pistol, and then transition that to a 9mm. And you'll be just fine between the time that you get your P17 22 pistol to the time you upgrade to a 9mm. It might be just 3 to 6 months, that interval there, that once you've developed the skill set of a pistol on the 22, then you can move to that 9mm and you'll be golden. So now, as far as holster versus pocket carry, now holster mounted on the hip, inside the waistband, outside the waistband, that's the ideal way to carry a pistol, or an appendix here right in the front, because it's very easily accessible, and the weight carries really well. Now, the disadvantage is that you have to don and put on the pistol and take it off every day, and it's just inconvenient, honestly. Now, a pocket pistol is nice if you got a small enough pistol to actually just fit in your pocket, and then use like a Barai pocket pistol holster, which protects the trigger from accidental discharge. So you can actually carry a load around the chamber with the Barai holster, and then put it in your pocket and safely carry that way. Now, it's what I like is that you can just, as you're going out anytime, you just pick up the pistol it's already got the holster clipped on it, and you just slide it in your pocket and you're good to go. There's no unbuckling your belt and getting the holster on. And then also, with the smaller pistol and the pocket pistols, you're able to just do your normal everyday activities, whether it's mowing the lawn, working underneath your car, doing repairs around the house. You can still have it on you, and it's not going to be hanging up on stuff. Not nearly as bad as a holster that's mounted on the hip, or get in the way as much as an appendix holster. The other thing is there's a lot of things. Think of the difference between a range gun and a carry gun. Now, a carry gun needs to be, like I say, lightweight, small, and compact. It's going to be something that you don't go, oh, I'll leave it home today. It's just too much hassle to take it with me. A carry gun is small, lightweight, compact. Now, a range gun, a pistol that's easier to deal with out at the range is going to be something that's bigger. They're easier to shoot. It's easier to be accurate with them, no doubt. But I guarantee you can get a big pistol that's a lot of fun to shoot at the range. It's not going to be fun to carry. So keep that in mind when it comes time to buy your 9mm pistol. Always think of opportunity cost. Heavy gun versus a light gun and a first aid kit. I'll take the light gun and the first aid kit. Now, some of the other training to do for your pistol is to always attend a concealed carry weapon class. And those are going to be almost everywhere in the United States. And then also you can attend a Project Appleseed pistol class as well. They're not quite as widespread yet, but you can look for those as well. Now, one thing I highly suggest is that you play paintball. Now, I'm not talking like the kind of paintball where you go out in the woods, but the kind of paintball where you play on a speedball field, where they have it's about the size of a soccer field with these air bunkers inflated out all over the field, and then two opposing teams, shoot it out. And you have to learn to make use of cover. And this is where the whole ambidextrous thing we talked about earlier comes into play. You develop your ambidextrous skills in paintball, and that will readily migrate over back into your firearms. And that's very important when it comes to making optimal use of cover in a gunfight. Now, to kind of reinforce that whole thing, I want you to check out a book by RECCE Applegate called Bullseyes Don't Shoot Back. Because you see in gunfighting, and specifically in pistol gunfighting, is where and when do these things happen? Where do gunfights happen? Where do these deadly self-defense events occur? Well, they occur, one, at very close range, short range. It's not very, usually well within 7 yards, and often much closer. Usually in low light conditions, so you're not often going to be able to make good use of the sights. Then, of course, what happens to the human body in a deadly threat situation is that huge, big adrenaline dump you get, and so you have auditory exclusion, tunnel vision. You focus on the target. You're naturally focus on the target. Your body naturally wants to get into a crouch to reduce its area of exposure, and you lose fine motor control. So there's a lot of things to think about that I think a lot of gun trainers miss, that they go on this whole, we want to teach you how to hold the two-handed grip, thumbs forward, two-handed grip, and sighted fire. Well, that's 80 to 90% of the gunfights are not going to be that kind of thing. They're going to be right here. And it's going to be even shooting from the hip a lot of the time. So it's going to be point shooting. And that's what RECCE Applegate in his book, Bullseyes Don't Shoot Back, talks about. Now, as far as the two-handed grip, there are situations when you have the opportunity to use that, when you can reduce the stress levels in yourself, get your, break through the tunnel vision, break through auditory exclusion, and make that fine muscle control of the trigger, two-handed grip, and you'll be able to, that could be useful on, say, 10 to 15% of the time. Now, I suggest a video by Mike Glover on he shows the grip, and he does a really good job on showing how to use that two-handed hold on a pistol. So what is our calendar that we think of? What's our calendar of progress for this? Now, I've created a separate spreadsheet on what I think should be your steps, your progression steps on advancing from airsoft to .22 rifle to .22 pistol to 9mm pistol to the AR-15, and then on beyond that. 3 months to a year after you start on this process, you'll actually get your 9mm concealed carry weapon pistol, and hopefully it will be with a paddle magazine release. And I'm hoping that we're going to see a new micro compact come out here soon that will have that paddle magazine release, something equivalent to the Springfield Hellcat or the SIG P365 or the Glock 43, but with the paddle magazine release. Hoping to see that soon. Now, again, I think the micro compacts are going to be definitely the ideal for concealed carry for most people, because you don't want to deal with that weight and bulk day after day after day. People end up getting tired of it and they leave it at home. So, and then also, but then again, I want to think about is how important our magazine changes during a real gunfight. Most gunfights are done within four shots. So mag changes are probably not going to be that important. And then also, most people don't carry an extra magazine with them anyway, especially if you're pocket carrying. If you're carrying a pocket pistol, you got maybe 7 to 10 rounds in that. That should be enough to do the job. Now, if you have an extra mag, great, but if not, that's what most people are going to be doing, is just carrying the pistol, not an extra mag. So keep that in mind. Now, as far as your first big centerfire rifle, I say big, but we're going to talk about the AR-15. I highly recommend the BCM RECCE, RECCE. Excellent rifle, running you about $1,200 to $1,400. Then 2 to 3 years later, we can look at a serious Liberty defense rifle, perhaps in 7.62, and I highly recommend the Desert Tech MDR because it is an ambidextrous gunfighting, serious war, go-to-war type rifle, in my opinion. And it's 100% ambidextrous, perfectly mirrored. And if you check out the other videos on this channel, you'll find out why I advocate being ambidextrous and why the weapons need to be perfectly mirrored. Anyway, I hope this helps you out in becoming a new gun owner, and I hope you'll check out the videos throughout the rest of my channel. But this is really the start of it, just to get you started into being a new gun owner. And you can check out the other videos. When you get to the point of you're going to look to buy a 9mm pistol, I have a ton of videos on different reviews of different 9mm pistols. Got a whole new series coming out soon on the sub and micro compact pistols and the bloody hands testing, so you're going to definitely want to check that out as well. It's Mark Laughlin with the Ambidextrous Gunfighter. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.